Orcas are not only one of the most striking animals in the animal kingdom, but they are also known for their intelligence. However, even the vast ocean can be challenging for them. An incident on New Zealand's Marlborough Beach serves as a perfect example of this. One day, local residents on the beach encountered a group of orcas near the shore. These orcas, likely hunting in the area, were quite numerous. The sight of the orcas delighted the people. Some took photos, while others simply watched in awe. As dusk began to fall, the orcas started to return to the open sea. The excited locals who had welcomed these special guests also headed home. But the next day brought something even more surprising. However, this time it was not a pleasant sight. In the early hours of the morning, an unexpected visitor was found on the beach. It was a roughly 6-meter-long orca, weighing around half a ton, which must have washed ashore during the night. Now the killer whale lay under the relentless, scorching sun. The local community gathered around the whale and decided to name it Lucy. A few people quickly sounded the alarm and called for help. The crowd grew larger. Despite seeing that the orca needed assistance, people hesitated to help. After all, it was a killer whale. Everyone had heard stories of how ruthless orcas could be while hunting. No one wanted to risk their safety. Yet, like any living being, Lucy had the right to live, and she was in desperate need of help. Some animal lovers decided to take the risk and began to assist. They started by wrapping Lucy in wet towels and cloths to keep her cool. They couldn't stand by and let a living creature die right before their eyes. Although Lucy was an animal, everyone could sense her sadness. The volunteers kept pouring water over her to prevent her skin from drying out. There was nothing Lucy could do but lie there, hoping to survive. After hours of this, she was utterly exhausted. All she could do was remain still and hope for the best. For a killer whale, being on land was a death sentence. Lucy needed to return to the water as soon as possible, but it was nearly impossible to push a half-ton creature back into the ocean with human strength alone. Calls for help went out everywhere, even to the veterinarians at the conservation department and the military. This was a daunting task. They had to use their resources wisely. Lucy had clearly ventured too close to shore while hunting. She likely hadn't realized how quickly the water depth decreased and found herself stranded on land. Some whales in this situation could push themselves back into the water by leaping, but Lucy was too far from the shoreline for that. A plan was devised to rescue Lucy. They thought of using a boat to tow her back into the sea, where she could swim on her own once they reached deeper waters. It was a good idea, but the sea was too rough, with waves that would hinder the boat from pulling the whale. Another plan was to dig a channel underneath Lucy, big enough to allow water to carry her out. But this plan failed as well because there wasn't enough water to support her weight. Lucy was simply too heavy. She must have washed ashore with such force to end up so far on the sand. Finally, someone came up with a solid idea. They could protect Lucy until the tide came in, and then when the water rose, they could pull her back into the sea. This was just as challenging as the other plans, but there was no other option left. The teams arrived and began preparing for the plan. At that moment, something incredible happened. It was as if Lucy understood their efforts and began to move in the direction they were trying to pull her. Most people had expected the whale to make things more difficult, or even resist. But this was a shock to everyone. Lucy started to cooperate with the rescue team. This behavior once again demonstrated how understanding and intelligent whales are. Lucy was doing her best to help the team. The volunteers used all their strength to push the whale toward the sea. As the water grew deeper, Lucy began to use her fins. Everyone's hopes were lifted. The people watched with eager eyes. It was time for Lucy to move on her own. They had done it. Lucy started swimming, and she was finally free. In a gesture of gratitude, Lucy turned to the people on the shore with a look of thanks. She opened her mouth and let out a loud cry, as if to say thank you to everyone. The people on the beach with tears of joy in their eyes watched as Lucy swam away, sending her off to her home. Reunited with other members of the flock, Lucy disappeared into the depths of the ocean with her family. Please don't forget to like the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel.